Hello, let's play a Chocona puzzle. This one's by zetamath and with help from his stream. He set this live on stream, and it's called Hold the Banana because there's another puzzle type called Choco Banana, but he prefers Chocona over that one. So this is a Chocona. All right, how do we play this game? Well, first of all, we're going to be shading some cells and leaving some cells unshaded, which we can use green to represent. The shaded cells always form either a square or a rectangle. A single cell is a square or a rectangle. We also build up squares like this, where we could make rectangles. And two different squares or rectangles can't touch each other. This would be considered one blob because they touch. They could touch diagonally, but not sharing an edge, because you need to be able to tell that you've made a shape like this. And so this would be illegal, but this would be fine. And finally, the numbers in the regions are the number of shaded cells in those regions. And so this needs 3 shaded cells. So maybe we do something like that, right? To fill this 3 and this 3, and then these wouldn't be shaded. And that's our little rectangle there. That's probably not the solution, but anyway, that's it. And I'm going to get started right now. And I will say that I completely failed solving this puzzle. I couldn't make it very far into it. So what I did is I asked zetamath to help walk me through the solve, and this is going to be just a walkthrough. I did want to give you an opportunity to try it first. I don't think anything here is unfair, but I think there's a lot of deductions in Chocona that are difficult to come up with on the spot in like a short amount of time. So I'm curious how you did, but I'm going to walk through the way to think about this puzzle that makes it solve very smoothly. So first of all, something to look for in any Chocona puzzle is, do we have a region that is fully empty, like a 0, or fully full? Unfortunately, none of these are fully empty or fully full. They're all fewer shaded cells than their total. So the thing that lets us break in, and zetamath loves to start top left corner for the break-in. So for zetamath puzzles, at least, look top left corner. But the key thing to note is that we need 3 shaded in this sort of P pentomino here. And if we didn't shade this one, if this was unshaded, we would have to shade 3 out of the 4 of this square. Shading 3 out of the 4 of a square is never going to be square itself. We're always going to end up with some L shape where the other one isn't shaded, and that completely breaks our must be rectangular thing, right? And so that's not possible. So this has to be shaded, and symmetrically, this P pentomino needs this one shaded. All right, so now what we can do is we can think about what are our actual options here, right? If I shade any of these, this one, this one, this one, or this one, then it has to extend back and fill the rest of the square rectangle. You can't just leave it like that. So those are our options, but we can't do both of these, because if we did both of these, then look what happens to this 3. Well, we could take these 2, but even if we do that, we can't avoid taking one of those 3. And once we take one of those 3, we have to take all 3 of them. So none of these would be shaded. And the important thing is now what happens to the 2. Because the 2 could shade this one, but that doesn't let it escape from shading one of these 3. And once it shades one of these 3, it shades all 3 of them. And now the 2 is broken because it's got 3 shaded cells. So we are not going to be shading these 2 and these 2 to fill the 3s. But we're also not going to be doing it vertically. We can't do this vertical or this vertical because that's going to make an L shape. So that means that we're either here or here, and we're here or here, but one of these extremes needs to be used, or both. So the next thing to think about is, actually, I think there's one deduction we might want to do before that, which is this 3 here. Can we avoid shading this one? And actually, this deduction we just did is important for this, which is this is going to be shaded or this, but not both. So only one of these 2 is shaded, and only one of these 2 is shaded. So I can't shade both of these. If I did that, because one of these 2 is shaded, they both have to be shaded, and now we have this issue. And so we can shade one of these 2, and we can shade one of these 2, but that's only 2. And so we have to shade this middle one as the 3rd. All right, and so now, can we shade these 2 is the question. And think about what happens with this 3. Let's see, how do we prove this? There was an easy way to do it, and there was a hard way to do it, and I'm only remembering the hard way. Okay, let's figure it out again. So this is impossible. And the reason is, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not taking this one because I'd have to extend it back, right? So this would not be taken, and that would force this to be taken. And now look what happens to this two, right? It can take this one, but it still needs to take one more. And as soon as it takes one more of these, we have to fill all three. And now we have three in the two. So the fact taking these two forces this one because the three needs three. And I think it's pretty easy to prove that whatever we extend here, the three is going to take it as well. But that's definitely true here. And so we can't take these two. So these two aren't in. So that means these are in, which has to extend here. And so we're still not extending down to here. And then now we know we're not taking these two because we have to do this, and that breaks the two. Remember that? So these aren't taken. And so these two are taken. And now, again, we can't extend upward. This rectangle can't extend upward because if it did, it would take those. Same deal. And so that we take this as the final three. All right, now if we think about the two, we can't take both of these. That makes an L. So we can only take one of these, which means we must take one of these. But if we take one, we have to take both, and that finishes the two. And then now we can't take that one because it can't extend down. So now we can think about this two here. We can't take both of these because it would be a bad extension of this rectangle. And so because we can only take up to one of these, we have to take this one as well. Now the next deduction here is, this is another really, this is repeated a lot in this puzzle actually, which is this 2 cannot take more than one of these three. Because if we take more than one of these three, we end up with having to take all three of them in order to finish the square. Like I can take just this one, I can take just this one, I definitely can take just this one. But if I take two of them, I'm definitely extending out here, and I'm extending either here or here, which would force a square. So because I can only take one of these, I have to take this one. And now I can only take one of these, and so I have to take this one. All right. And so now I think, let's see, is there any obvious, there may be other deductions around here, but the next thing I want to talk about is this 5. Remember this 7 cell with the 5 clue. Remember the 5 cell with the 3 clue, we had to take this little bit here. So it's natural to think, do we have to take this one as well? So what if we didn't take this one? Well, now we have to put 5, we have to shade 5 cells in a rectangular 6. And that's just not going to work because no matter what we do, we're going to make a non-rectangle, right? No matter how we try to do this, we're always going to end up with like a C shape or like one of these P pentominoes, and it's just not going to be a rectangle, and it's not going to be resolvable. And so since we can't take all 6, we're going to have to take this one. And now we can't extend over here because if we did, we'd actually take all of these. That would be very bad for all those regions. And so we're definitely not extending there, and that leaves just this one, which fills this guy here. So these two aren't taken because of the 2. All right. So this 5, does it extend down? Well, if it did, we now have to place 3 in this 5. But we're not, okay, so first of all, this rectangle can extend to the right, right? So now we have to do 3 out of the 4, and 3 out of 4 is exactly the problem we had up here, where we do an L shape. So that's not going to work. So that's not taken. And now we have our standard, the thing we had at the start. Actually, no, it's not the thing we had at the start. We have to put 4 into these 5. If I take this one, then I can't do 4 of them. The best I can do is 3. Because I'm not doing this L shape, right? And so I am going to connect, but now I can't row left. So we're just going to take these 4. And now this 4 here can't avoid taking one of these 2, because if it did, we take these 4, which is an L shape, with these not taken. And so since we're taking one of these 2, we have to take both of them. And so now it can't extend upward. And that means this can't extend downward. And now we're going to take these 2. Now, if we took any one of these 2, we'd have to take them both, which is bad for the 1. So we don't, which means the 1 takes that one. All right. So now we want to think about this 5. We're kind of growing. We're kind of going down and then to the right. So for the 5, the first thing we need to notice is that we're not taking both of these because we know that one of these is taken. And so if we took both of these, it would take these 2 as well. And then this is a big blob that's not a rectangle. And so one of these max. is taken. So that means we need 4 more down here, but there's only 5. And so the only way to avoid taking this one here is to do 2 and 2. And that breaks the 4, I believe. Hold on, what does that break? Oh no, sorry, that's actually fine. I think that's the solution. If we try to grow out here, then we have a problem, right? If we try to grow here, notice we cannot extend up or down because that would be an L. And so once we do that, now there's only 4, there's these 4 left. And remember, we can't take both of these. So it's not actually possible to finish the 5. So since that's not in, we actually have to take these 4. Now the 4 could take these 2 to try to avoid grabbing one of these pairs. But but then we still need 2 more to place, which means we're definitely going to grab, which means we're definitely grabbing at least one of these 2s. And as soon as we grab one of them, it's going to stop this one from being a shaded cell. So this is never shaded. And since that's not shaded, now we need to take 4 out of these 5, which is going to naturally give us these. Because we can't avoid, like if we tried to avoid this, we'd only have 3 left. If we tried to avoid this, we'd have 3 left. Hopefully that's clear. And so that leaves the 4 like this, which means this can't continue upward. And so now the 5 is done. And so now of these 2, we actually still haven't resolved that. That's right. But we have this trick again with this 2. We have to take exactly one of these so that we don't actually take all 3. So this one is shaded, and that's going to extend this guy out, which then extends this guy out. So this is finished. The 2 is finished. This can't go up. We have 3 remaining up here, and we're done. So yeah, I couldn't make it past the start of this because I didn't have the experience. But now after I've kind of gotten these tips from zetamath on how to solve this one, I feel like I could tackle another one in the future. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know how you thought about this kind of walkthrough style, where I already kind of know how to solve it and I just walk through it again. I don't plan on doing it every puzzle, but some puzzles, if I struggle on them, this would be a way to still publish the puzzle and let you give it a try and learn about the sort of puzzle, learn how that puzzle works, give some tips on it. So anyway, how'd you do?